Women realizing chivalry is dead in 2024 from Cosmic Verse.
Honestly, do you want to know what I'm thinking? What in the world happened to chivalry, babe?
Whatever happened to chivalry? Whatever happened to opening doors, dancing, or reading?
I'm single. I've been single for 8 years. And I'm getting kind of lonely.
You can either choose chivalry or equality, but you cannot have both at the same time.
Is chivalry and just basic common manners?
As much as I would like to think that chivalry is not dead, it might be.
Next time if a guy wants to go 50-50 with you, just remember that if men love equality in the form of...
These women will do everything else but pay for their bill on the date. He owes you nothing. Kindly subscribe to the channel, as it is our sole form of support. Thank you.
Whatever happened to chivalry? Whatever happened to opening doors, dancing, or reading? It all looks so meaningless, dull rust just for the kick of it. So how can I long for something that is non-existent? Because whatever happened to chivalry?
Next time if a guy wants to go 50-50 with you, just remember that if men love equality in the form of splitting the checks so much, then why does society still uphold traditions deep-rooted in patriarchy, such as the woman taking her husband's last name upon marriage? 70% of married women in the US take their husband's last name, so yeah, he can pay for the chicken.
Honestly, do you want to know?
You know what I think about that, though? I think a lot of these women who, maybe they do take their husband's last name, although a lot of women are challenging that, and a lot of them are actually questioning that. And that seems to be shifting a little bit. But she is right, and I believe it's like 70 to 80%, something like that, of women, they are still taking their husband's last name. And while there are some women challenging that and not pursuing that and questioning that, I believe a lot of women still do this because I've said it before, but women will typically, they like to mirror their mother. They find comfort in behaving like their mom and their mother. So what they do is they look at what their mother did. Their mother took their father's last name. So I believe they're more inclined to do what their mother did, and then, of course, their mother, and then their mother's mother. So obviously that definitely has been like a tradition. But I think the reason why a lot of women still do it is because their mom did it. And they generally want to kind of mirror their mother's behavior. And then also, one of the reasons, of course, why women will take a man's last name, you look at it because, their children, they want to have the same last name as their children. And yes, it is still true that children generally are given the man's last name. But there is a reason for that. And the reason is it gives the men a sort of investment into that child that they wouldn't necessarily have without it. Because women up front have an investment in that child quite literally because it grew in them, and they carried this child for an extended period of time, and then they eventually birthed it and quite literally had to be cut from the mother. So there already is that just connection between the mother and child, and that investment that the woman put into that child, and it affected her body, and then it continues on with breastfeeding. There's a very obvious investment that these women have with these children. And so I believe it's true that children were given a man's last name so that men would feel more of an investment and a connection with that child. So that would be some of the many reasons why women still take a man's last name. But if we really want to get into, it's like, why don't men provide for women anymore, blah, blah. Well, I mean, again, there's plenty of reasons with that as well, but it's like it boils down to A, inflation, B, the women aren't really wife quality anymore. A lot of them, they're just not. They're not modest. They are promiscuous. They speak, again, I'll get into all that, but a lot of it boils down to it's not really realistic anymore for men to provide for women to go from their father's house to their husband's house. Because if we're going to talk about, the providing and shit, that's what used to happen. That's what used to happen. Women would go from their father's house to their husband's house, and they wouldn't work. But it's like that just simply isn't realistic anymore because of, yes, inflation. Women are in the workforce as well, so everybody gets paid less. I mean, theoretically, if you removed women from the workforce, the supply would drop and the demand for employees would increase. So there's no doubt men would at least get somewhat of an income boost, which would help us go back to the times where men could provide for women and provide for their existence. But still, that wouldn't solve the inflation issue, right? Inflation is honestly probably the biggest thing. Cost of living has increased. Wages have not increased along with that. So it's really quite staggering, actually, how modern men are still held to this standard by many women that they should be providing for their existence. It really is pretty crazy.
What I'm thinking, what in the world happened to chivalry, babe? Listen, I don't get the ick much. Lie, I do get the ick. Let me tell you, if there's one thing that does give me the ick, it's the fact that women get on trains and men get on trains, but when there's no seats on the train, men will really barge the women to sit down before them. Like, in my nan's day...
Again, this goes back, yes, look, she's going to start talking about in her nana's day. Again, this just goes back to, like, when women couldn't work and they were seen as, like, very sensitive and I don't know how I'm trying to describe this, but again, it just goes back to a time that isn't today, where these women they really were coddled. They really were privileged in many different ways. They didn't work. They were seen as kind of like, yeah, damsels in distress. They were actually modest. They were actually feminine. They did used to embody femininity and what it means to be a woman. It's just things have changed so massively. Feminism has come in and completely, demonized men and really is completely shaking things up. So, I mean, again, you're going to start talking about your Nana's experience and but it's just not that anymore. You ladies are not that either. Yeah.
He wouldn't do such a thing. Honestly, what happened to the times where women just used to stay at home and cook and clean and the men used to go and fend for the family? Bring them times back. Because I get it, yeah? We're all tired after work. It's 5 o'clock, it's fucking hot, and all you want to do is make sure that when you get on at Holborn, you've got a seat all the way through to Loughton. That's completely fine. But when you've been sitting there in your office all day doing your little finance broking, you don't think, oh, that lady, she looks like she could do with a seat. And maybe make sure that she sits down before you. No, okay, no problem. Honestly, put this generation to one, we've got no fucking chance. You see what happens.
It might take them a while to get it, but equality is about men and women being on the same playing field. I mean, that's what they fought for, right? Equal rights, equal opportunities, equal treatment. And those times she's mentioning are gone and probably will never return. Because women today now see staying at home, cooking and cleaning as just labor work for the man.
Okay, so reason number 46 why I love men is they always have that little area in their brain dedicated to something so random they know every single fact about.
Well, and real quick, I want to add something. These women who want to be stay-at-home wives, they just want to be lazy. They want to lay around all day and do fuck all. Okay, it is true. Again, let's go all the way back. It is true that men would still provide for women who didn't have their children. But it was a lot easy. It was a lot harder for them to do basic things like, things around the house, because modern technology has made things a lot easier to do things around the house. It's made things a lot more efficient. So for these women nowadays who want to be stay-at-home wives, they don't even want to be stay-at-home moms. We're not even talking about stay-at-home moms. We're talking about stay-at-home wives. It's fucking ridiculous. What are you going to do all day? You got a dishwasher, you got a laundry, you got a washing machine, you got a dryer machine, you got vacuums. What are you really going to be doing all day? You can work. Go do something. Go do something with your life. Nowadays, that's just lazy. They just want to be lazy. Just want an easy life. Look, it gets different if she's a real, true feminine woman. She's submissive and she's raising children. Then we can talk about providing for her. But these modern women who aren't even raising children, what? Absolutely not.
Like the amount of facts they could fit in their little brain if they wouldn't remember all those other stuff is just insane. It's just crazy.
Shut up, bitch!
You're a guy and you don't hold the door open for a woman, you're a piece of shit.
If you're a woman and you're still expecting bonus privileges from men simply because you have a vagina, you're behind on the times. You see, a majority of your gender doesn't want special privileges for having a vagina. Once upon a time, chivalry wasn't stressful. It was second nature. When we had to start second-guessing our chivalry and hoping we're not offending you, that shit went out the window.
Equal rights. Until the check comes, my ex-wife expected me to open the car door for her every time we unlocked the car.
Well, look, I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I'm more likely to hold the door open for a man than I am one of these modern ladies. And I'll tell you why. Men have not gone around saying they don't need men. Now, I understand not all women have gone around saying they don't need men either. But a lot of times you can look at a woman and you can kind of tell how she thinks. I'm more likely to I'll open a door for a woman if she's older. I'm more likely to do so. All right, I'm more likely to do that. But if I see one of these, feminist looking types, I'm not going to do it. Simply on principle, because a large percentage of her gender want to run around saying they don't need men. I'm more likely to not do it for them. But I'm more likely to do it for a man, even a young man. I'll leave the door open for it because he has never gone around saying he doesn't need men. So yeah, you can call me petty for that, but
She told me so explicitly. Did I mention that she's my ex-wife? They wanted this. Now they're complaining. Just can't make them happy. Last time someone yelled at me for trying to be nice and hold the door open, I told them to cry about it, but not to me.
Yeah, and not to mention you can run into that with some of these women. You'll open the door and maybe they look at you snarky like, oh, you think I can't get it myself? Like, I don't need you to do that. Personally, that's never happened to me. Anytime I've kept the door open for a woman, of course, not all the times it's been appreciated. Oftentimes, you won't hear anything. They won't say anything. But I've noticed that, like with older women, they do appreciate it, and they'll often say, "Thank you." But even then, I'm talking like older women.
I really don't know what humanity is anymore. Things that used to be okay are no longer okay, and things that weren't okay or now okay. I think what these women are forgetting is that these men don't owe them any type of chivalrous acts. If a man does open the door for you, he simply just does it because he's a good human being with manners. It's a reflection of his character, not a sign that he's obligated to act a certain way because of your gender. Chivalry, at its core, is about kindness and respect, and those are qualities that should be shown by everyone, regardless of gender.
Well, a lot of times women will say, oh, it's not chivalry, it's just basic manners. What's wrong with you? It's just basic manners. But here's the thing. You guys remember, this comes to mind, and then there's another thing I saw. But you guys remember that brick lady? That brick lady who got hit with the brick or whatever? Her whole thing was like, why didn't the men step in and do basic, just show basic manners? Where were the men? Why didn't they show basic manners and protect me? And women will say, why didn't the men do this? Why didn't the men step in and show basic manners? But they'll never say, why didn't the women step in and show basic manners? So it is chivalry, what they want. They want men to come in and help them with their shit, or maybe even the train thing. It's never about why didn't the women stand up and give me their seat. It's always about why didn't the men stand up and give me their seat. And then they'll try to disguise that as it just being good manners, just be a good human, just manners or whatever. It's like, if you see me holding books as a woman and you're a man sitting there, why would you not stand up and give me your seat? It's just basic manners. But again, they never call out the women. They call out the men. So it is about chivalry, and it's not about basic manners. But they try to disguise it as that to make you feel bad. It's like, oh, well, it's just manners. You just don't have manners. No, it's you're trying to uphold chivalry in a time where many of you don't deserve it, and the current climate does not facilitate it.
Unfortunately, some women have come to expect these gestures as a given, almost as if it's a man's duty to always be chivalrous, rather than recognizing these actions as genuine displays of goodwill. It's a sense of entitlement. They just expect it simply because they're women.
One of the most insidious and ridiculous effects of the patriarchy is literally women paying 50-50.
This 100% used to be me. But now I definitely think that making women pay 50-50 bills, dates, whatever it is, has the same energy as equal rights, equal fights. The phrase that men use when women say they want equal rights, and they say, well, then I have the right to hit you. Yikes.
Whoa. What? Who are you saying that? Nobody's saying that. They have the right to hit you. No. They have the right to defend themselves. What the fuck? Wow. Talk about bullshit. Guys will have to say equal rights, equal lefts when you see a woman hit a man and then a man hits back. That's what that means. But for some reason, she doesn't want to accurately represent that. She wants to lie about it and basically just completely mischaracterize it.
Demanding women pay an equal amount of a bill when we don't get equal pay. We do not have equal rights under the law. We do not have equal representation under the government. We do not get equal treatment in healthcare. But we're
equal representation in the government. Well, hold on. Vice president is a woman, right? Woman running for president right now is a woman. Man running for president, man, woman. Interesting. It sounds quite equal to me. It sounds like there's some equal representation there. Maybe not completely when we start looking in the Senate and whatnot, but again, men are more likely to pursue these things than women. Look at the jobs that women are more likely to pursue. It's involved with like caretaking and working with people directly. But again, a lot of what she said is easily broken down, but I don't want to go through all of it. She still thinks women get paid less than men. She doesn't want to accurately talk about why. Just keep going.
expected to pay an equal amount of the bills. So the only equality you're going to give us is paying bills because it benefits you? No thanks, patriarchy.
Welcome back to another episode of Just Emotions and No Facts. If a couple is in a relationship and they make a comparable amount of money, why exactly shouldn't they pay the bills equally? Financial equality should be a given when both partners are contributing similarly in terms of income.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense that men would still be like expected to pay for a woman's existence. It doesn't make any sense at all. And if a man chooses to do that, this woman should be getting on her knees every day and thanking him. It doesn't make sense. Inflation, women can't work. It's really it. Cost of living. It simply doesn't make any fucking sense that men would still be expected to provide for these women. Like, at all. So it would make sense if women couldn't work and inflation wasn't high and the cost of living, right, was lower. It would then make sense, but this doesn't make any sense. That playing field has been completely like equalized. And her approach is that, well, the reason why men should still pay for women is because women get paid less than men. Women don't have equal representation. Just a load of garbage.
It's about fairness and respect. Why should one person be expected to bear more of the burden simply because of outdated gender norms or unrealistic expectations? If you ever come across a woman with the mindset that she's entitled to a free ride because of her gender while you handle all the financial responsibilities, you might want to look the other way.
Well, look, I firmly believe if there was going to be any sort of providing going on, you have to at least be raising children. If you're not raising children, go do something with your life. Go do something with your life. Maybe we'll do the household. We'll approach the bills with like a 60-40 thing, man paying majority. But again, the only way something like that can happen is if this is an extremely feminine woman. She hasn't lost touch with her femininity. And the only reason a man would do something like that is because he knows how women respond to men when there is equality in a relationship. It's usually not the best. So like that's one of the problems as well, is if you're a man and you want to set yourself up to get good treatment from a woman, to have a healthy relationship, it is going to be easier to facilitate that when there is a man paying more in the household than a woman. But that can be overcome through a man's masculinity. If he's on point with his masculinity and there's heavy polarity in a relationship, you can get past splitting the bills 50-50. And you can still get respect and whatnot. But again, there has to be very obvious polarity. The man has to be extremely, very, very in tune with his masculinity. But to give a man himself the best chances of having a successful relationship and maintaining respect from a woman, it's best he does pay the majority. But again, if a woman isn't raising children, it doesn't make sense for her to not at least be contributing somewhat, because she can be working and she should be working. Because again, in a household, modern appliances, it's like, what else are you going to be doing? You're going to be laying around all day? Go do something with your life.
It isn't about being petty or unwilling to support your partner. It's about expecting mutual respect and fairness.
Y'all, honest to God, I don't want to be single for the rest of my life. Like, I'm enjoying my singlehood right now, and like, it's fine, but I don't want to be single forever. But also, men annoy the shit out of me. Some of these men don't even know how to open a car door. Like, who raised you? I would like to talk to them. And when you mention it to them, like, oh, I guess you can't even open a car door, they're like, oh, I thought you were a strong, independent woman.
Oh, they don't like that. They don't like that shit anymore now. You can tell they really, really do not like that. I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point. We've been hearing this shit for a while from you ladies, just how strong and independent you are. But you don't like when it's like being put in front of your face.
I guess you just ain't a strong, independent man. Okay, let's say you weren't taught manners.
That's a good one.
It's another thing.
Again, see, I guess you just weren't taught manners. So see how I'm on point with this shit. This is what they do. They try to make it not as big of a deal, and they kind of disguise it as like, oh, it's just manners. It's not actually chivalry. It's just now it's just manners. Okay, you can open my door. It's just manners. If you're trying to like kind of disguise it as, oh, it's not gender roles, it's just manners. Oh, you can open my car door? No, you're not. And look, like I will open the car door for my woman. I will. But again, that's because one, I don't date modern masculine women. I only fuck with women who know and have not lost touch with their femininity. And then I also will only do that. I won't do it all the time. And I will make sure she's been good. I'll make sure she's been a good woman. She's been pleasant. She's been feminine. She's been kind. And she earns it so that when I do it, she appreciates it and doesn't feel entitled to it. And a lot of women will hear that shit. They'll be like, what the fuck? But you know what, man? It works. It works. I think there's a study as well that showed that when you intermittently reward women with gifts and I guess things like, like opening the car door, favorable treatment, they appreciate it more than it being routine because it's quite literally there's more of a dopamine response in the mind from intermittent rewards than predictable, consistent rewards. So if you're constantly opening the door for her, it doesn't produce as much like dopamine in her brain than if you were to do it intermittently when it's like more unexpected. Yeah. But, I mean, with a woman like this, I'm not opening no car door for you. You can tell she's got negative feminine aura.
To not take the feedback that is given to you and try to improve yourself on how to treat people well. My older brother always opens the door for me, and my 2 ex-boyfriends always open the door for me, no matter what. I was in a 3-year relationship. He always opened the door for me. And yes, I'm so capable of opening the door for myself.
And you seem to have grown to really feel entitled to that, and that's kind of the problem.
But when you're dating somebody, it just shows like a level of respect and care for that person. But if you're so on your high horse about, oh, I don't ever open doors for women, I guess you just don't like women. Babes, don't settle.
I'm confused.
Solid argument. You just don't like women. That's kind of like an ad hominem, right? In a way, it's kind of shaming. You don't like women. Incel. Okay, let's just completely ignore the logical analysis.
I'm a woman, and I open doors for everyone because of manners. So you wouldn't open doors for your partner? Regardless of gender, they gotta do for you, but not vice versa. I open my car door all the time for myself. If I was walking past the door first, I would open it, but the independent woman thing is true, 'cause a woman hit me before for opening the door and said, I can do it myself. You never know. Well, that's a terrible comeback, because men don't go around shouting that they're strong and independent. It's mostly women who do that, claiming empowerment from it. Though, honestly, I'm not sure how they derive so much empowerment from it. If you're constantly declaring yourself a strong, independent woman, then by that logic, you shouldn't need anyone to open a door for you, right? The whole point of being independent...
I mean, just look at this woman's mannerisms as he's talking and giving his voiceover. She just comes off so insufferable. It's so interesting how the women, the types of women who demand the most are such see you next Tuesdays, and it's so obvious you can see it from a mile away. And I don't know what suckers end up with these ladies, but she talks about her ex-boyfriends. I mean, you're not even saying like your husband does it. You're not even with that guy anymore. Yeah, your brother did it for you all the time. It sounds like that's probably one of the reasons you come off very spoiled and entitled and bratty. I don't know, man. Maybe to me, it's come off very unpleasant. I don't know what man would want to be around a woman like this. What men do end up with these women and why? It must be that because, look, she's not ugly, right? Somewhat attractive. I wonder what she looks like without the makeup. I don't know. She's an attractive woman. It must be that these men stick with a woman like this because she is hot. And they don't think they can go find another woman who's hot but nicer. Because if you were to have two options, he probably would choose the nice one. If he's right in his mind and doesn't have a humiliation fetish. But yeah, I don't understand why a man would put up with this. Right, and unless it's her looks, that would really be it.
Is being self-sufficient and capable of handling things on your own. What men find frustrating...
Men should not pay for the first date.
No, bull,
Okay, let's talk about, we're going to talk about this one real quick. So you think the guy should pay for the first date?
Absolutely. Absolutely, he should pay for the first date. 100%.
Gone are the days of people just dating one person at a time. Similarly, gone are the days of people sleeping with just one person at a time. So if you're going on a first date with a girl, you have to assume she's fucking at least one other guy. You have to assume that. She could be sleeping with 2, 3 other guys. So my thing is, I'm not going to pay for a girl if she's fucking another guy. Point blank, period. You do not adhere to your traditional gender roles if she does not adhere to hers.
That's very valid because nowadays, many modern women have gone to the extent of dating multiple guys at once and just exploring their options. It's become a game of keeping their options open and seeing who can offer the most. Unless you're okay with just being another guy who's feeding her free meals while she has no intention of taking you seriously, I suggest you split the bill. Why? Because splitting the bill sets a clear boundary and sends a message that you're not going to be taken advantage of. Paying for everything, especially when it's clear she's not committed, is a fool's game.
I'm beginning to think that chivalry is dead in this dating pool, so I wrote this about it. I want flowers just because you
Okay. No thanks. I'm going to leave. Totally not interested in that. So if you can go ahead and leave a subscription. It's a long video, but I was talking a lot in this one. I had a lot to say. So if you enjoyed that, yeah, leave a like, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.